Forge the Narrative.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host for the All About Lost Souls podcast. I'm joined tonight by Chris Morgan.
Your Crimson Pal.
And Matt Barnachuk.
How's it going, everybody?
Yo, man. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Yeah, man.
What's been going on, Paul? It's been a while. I haven't talked to you guys for a bit.
Yeah, man. Well, okay, look, I'm hot and heavy on Space Marine list tech, and you've been actually holding it down for Space Marines for a long time, like pre this new codex, pre new everything. Thought it'd be great to bring you in and just do a little bit of chatting. You're actually, I know, right now up to the minute, you are watching the finals of the SoCal Open on stream, or at least you have it, or at least you were maybe before we started recording.
It's in the background. I'm watching.
We might get some up-to-the-minute plays. Take that, Stat Center. This week, I built a list, and it's 3 weeks before I need it. So I need to play the Space Marine list at the Coastal Assault. I think I finally decided on something, and I'm gonna say what the list is. We can talk a little bit about maybe why I chose some of the things that I did, and then I want to have that discussion about, like, do you go with the Iron Hands chapter tactic, or do you go with a successor chapter? So the starting out, the HQs. I've got one battalion and one flyer wing, and the HQs are a captain on a bike. That is delivered to me directly from Matt Barnachuk. He's like, you have to do a captain on the bike. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to. You're like, you just have to. We'll see if he fits in this list. You let me know. A Tech Marine with a conversion beamer. Okay, here's a funny story. That model is no longer available from Forge World.
Really?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I've put out some feelers. I don't like taking shabby kit batches. If I do end up having to piece one together, it's going to be solid. I know it will because, you know, it's got standards and stuff. But it's just kind of funny that I'm like, oh, let me rush this here. Turns out it's not available.
I tell you what, I think that the AdMech bits are a really good place to mine parts for something like a conversion beamer.
Yeah,
if you wanted to custom build one. This
is a conversion beamer, specifically not a C-beam. So it's kind of funny how it has different rules. It doesn't do the same thing as C-beams. It does get stronger if it's above above half range of the weapon, which 48-inch range weapon. Gets a little stronger, but it's still a good weapon, and especially for this dude is like dirt cheap. He's like, I don't know, 50 points or something to be an HQ slot and just hang out in the backfield and shoot this very reliable beam.
What's the range on it? It shoots the whole table, does it not?
No, I don't think it's
the
whole
like
table.
I thought it was something like 72 inches.
No, the C-beam, yes, it's 1 billion inches. The conversion beamer is 42 inches.
Okay, but you are running a C-beam, though, correct?
Yeah, I'll get to that. Don't jump.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, so the conversion beamer is 42 inches, heavy D3, strength 6, AP1, and then attacks that target enemies over half its range are resolved at strength 8, with an additional AP1.
Sorry, man, I'm super confused. Okay, you're talking about your Tech Marine.
This is the Tech Marine. Yeah.
Conversion beamer, that's the best thing ever. It's the best. It does so much work.
Damage 2, when it goes into that extra range. So then I kind of hemmed and hawed over the troop choices, and we had a whole episode dedicated to like which Space Marine troop is the best troop. And I've now I went from Inceptors to Intercessors, and because I'm also taking 2 of the transports, the Primaris transports, the Impulsors. We can debate the Impulsors here in just a second as well.
That's the El Camino for those who can't keep track of all of the I words.
Yeah, and then 2 scout squads. I've got them modeled currently as close combat and bolt pistols. I don't know that they will stay that way. If I go bolters with them, I may need to sub in some Blood Angel models. I don't feel good about it. Hopefully, whatever. 2 Invictor.
It's hard to glare over the internet.
Yeah, 2 Invictor warsuits. I think it's the best unit. Personal opinion, I think it's the best new unit we've seen in a long time. It pretty much checks all the boxes. And then our Relic Contemptor Dreadnought with the 2 C-beams.
There we go. I'm caught up now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So these are the 2 things that, if you stand still, you can fire them, and the further things are away, they get stronger. And then if you do a wound or do a casualty, then it does 2d6 extra hits. And they're basically like mean on Overwatch. I've heard people say, casually, while I've been talking about the list, that they're just going to run up and tag you, and then you're not going to be able to fire, and it's going to be like miserable. Like, well, until I pop this stratagem that has me hitting and then you get basically sea beamed in the face for 4d6 hits.
I've actually taken that Overwatch before, and it's not great.
2 Thunderfire cannons speak for themselves, and then a Whirlwind. I actually thought about taking the Rapier quad mortar for the shatter shells.
Just because it's cheaper?
It's about, and it's the same points. It's actually the Whirlwind is like 85 points. The shatter shells or the Rapier thing is 85 points. It's a little bit cheaper than the Thunderfire cannon.
Yeah.
That's something that for my brigade detachments, I used to fill them out with 3 of those quad mortar things because, the Blood Angels can't take Thunderfire cannon, so it was the closest thing I could get to quality and direct fire that had multiple fire modes. And that flat 3 damage on that shatter shell is really tasty.
It is. You do need line of sight for that one, and that's actually what pushed it over the edge. Is like, well, if I plan on hiding this thing out to score an objective or something, or just lay down some harrowing fire, then it's never going to fire the damage 3 weapon. So let me just go with the 2d6 shot from the Whirlwind, and you can also use a stratagem to fire it twice.
Yeah, like the Rapier's just pretty versatile. Like if you have like extra room, and you've got tons of like small arms fire, I would say that would be a better choice, because then if you need it, you need it for that like last cannon shot or whatever. It's only 24 inches though, right, Paul?
The shatter shell is, it's shorter range. The other one has like 48, I believe. The one that's like 2d3 shots.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Castellan launcher on the Whirlwind to be able to use the stratagem to fire it twice. It's the same points and be out of line of sight if I get an opportunity to put it somewhere.
Yeah, so far so good.
So then the 2 Impulsors. This is I kind of went back and forth, and in the current build I have an Iron Hail Heavy Stubber on there just for the extra shots, and then the Bellicastus missile array just for so little bit of extra punch. But I think you can build a case around taking that 4+ invulnerable.
I don't know, like, we haven't seen the Impulsors yet, right? So you don't really know what exactly their purpose is going to be yet, I don't think. I think, running 10 of them and doing that orbital bombardment that they can each do is probably a good counter against Iron Hands. But I'm not sure yet. Like they can only hold 5 Primaris, correct? Or is it 6?
6 Primaris.
6 Primaris. So you can put 2 aggressors or 3 aggressors in there, right?
I can't hold Gravis.
No, they can't take you can't put the Gravis armor in there.
Right. Yeah, okay. So you're basically looking at just transporting your,
putting the intercessors in there. They can move 14 inches and then get out. It's like the assault, not assault vehicle, but that puts me in bolter range, or scoot around and get objectives. And that's why I thought the 4+ invulnerable might actually be better, because it's a T7 11 wound thing that with the 4+ invulnerable might last forever.
It might last forever. Just looking at it
forever if you're rolling against me. But if I played it, it's dead. No saves made.
One of the problems, I'm like, just from like a devil's advocate point of view, I don't think I need to shoot. That's not like the first thing I'm shooting at your list. You know what I mean? So like, pretty much if I need just to get first kill, maybe I'll shoot at one of those. More often than not, I'm probably just going to try and target a scout unit. So I actually think that those live probably the first 2 turns in a game, Paul.
You think so? So 4+ don't need it.
I don't think you need it.
Okay.
So like just off the top of my head, like, maybe if I could see into the 3rd and 4th turn, maybe I shoot at them, but I don't think I do even for the first 2-3 turns unless I have nothing else to shoot at.
Then I'll round out the list with 2 Stormhawk Interceptors and then 2 Storm Talons.
See, and that's where that is a mean detachment, like a really mean detachment for the amount of points it costs. And this is at Iron Hands, correct?
Yeah, it is. It's Iron Hands. Yeah. And then the debate comes, do you make this a successor chapter to get the either something like a stealthy for the +1 armor save over a certain distance, and then, a master of artisan to get a reroll on the hit and wound.
I think if you can change the name so people don't think it's Iron Hands, you'll have a lot less hate from the other side of the table.
Well, it will be Luna Wolves.
Well, there you go. I think you just call them that because they, the successor chapter still gets all the buffs, right? So
You get the doctrine ability and then the stratagems. So what you would lose is, you do lose the Iron Hands chapter tactic, and that's the one that allows you to get the increased pip on Overwatch and the Feel No Pain.
Yeah, but nothing's going to be charging those things anyway.
I hope not. But there is a benefit of rolling that 5-6, depending on what's happening in the state of the game.
But there is also there's a strat that lets you get +1 to your Overwatch, is there not? Or is that only for infantry?
See, that's what a lot of the Marine chapters are getting, a double down on their cool thing.
Yeah.
So what we've seen in the codexes is you get to do, you've got your baseline cool thing, and then you could double it up, like we were talking about with the Imperial Fist, that they get the extra hit on 6s, and then they can burn another stratagem and gets an extra hit on 6s, so it's 3 hits on 6s.
Yeah. All that fun stuff that.
But the Iron Hands have similar things too. You get to get the extra pip on Overwatch, and it could go up to a 4+ if you have the baseline stat, the baseline tactic. And then the same thing with like the Feel No Pains. You get to, get it to a 5 or something.
Okay. So what are your thoughts about this list, Paul? Like when you first come up with this list, because this isn't your first rendition of the list, Iron Hands list, right?
No, it's not, because really my idea is that I try to push as much forward and kind of be up to being disruptive. So I get to kind of set the pace of the game. And so I wanted things that, played into that. And I think that the previous versions of the list I was working on took away from that in some way. Like it didn't have it all in there. If that makes any sense. Like it was diluting what my concept of what I wanted to do was.
So like this list gives you mega board control, in my opinion, because like everything can move. Everything can move fast. And like you've got the Thunderfire cannons and the Whirlwind hanging out in the back. You've got your intercessors moving up the board. You've got your Invictor Dreadnoughts coming in from reserves, as like primarily, right? And this is why I like the Chapter Master on a bike. Because it can auto advance 6 inches, right? So you're always moving 20 inches. And if you keep him in the middle of your...
That's what bikes do.
Yeah, the biker rule. So if you keep him in the middle of all of your planes, if you're able to, you're giving those things full rerolls, and they're pretty much knocking down whatever you want knocked down. And also, like, they give him screen protection, obviously. And then you can bring your war suits in with them, giving your biker or your captain on a bike some reserve or support on the ground as well. And then only that, you can fly your impulsors right up behind it. And if you want to get out and do your bolter drill stuff, like you just get out and do that, man. It's a really good functioning list.
Yeah, thank you.
I really like it.
Well, what Creating a Vacuum was talking with all you guys about like the different pieces and what was working for y'all. You've had some really good success with a different kind of list.
Yeah, mine's just like heavy bolter spam, pretty much. I've been playing the same list that your listeners have heard me talk about. All I did was apply the new Space Marine book to it, and it's overwhelming. Like, it was good. I thought it was good before, but now it's like extremely overwhelming, and I don't think my opponents have had a lot of fun at the other end of the table since that new book came out, to be fair.
If something was working for Space Marines before, after the new book, everything is working better, even if you changed nothing.
Yeah, and that's just it, right? Like, just the Chapter Master ability dropping a CP and re-rolling everything, it changes the math so drastically, to a point of like, you don't care if you're shooting at a -2 flyer. I don't care. I'm still going to kill it. Like, it's still going to take the same amount of shots as it did before to kill it almost. So, yeah.
Reroll hit rolls for attacks made by models in a friendly chapter unit while they're within 6 inches of this model. It's a 2-piece CP stratagem that takes them from the captain ability to the Chapter Master ability.
Yeah. Yeah. And you actually used to be able to use that stratagem on any captain. So I don't know if they changed that or not. So you could use that on like a character captain as well, like a named character. Not that you might need to, but so yeah, like you put 75 heavy bolter shots within rerolls of that, and a lieutenant. It's once you make it Iron Hands, it just gets worse because then you can just move everything for free and not take a penalty to your shots. So now you have this moving castle that's putting out the most extreme amount of firepower. Just to put it in perspective for you, I took this list like a month ago, right when we started talking, with the Iron Hands, the Space Marine, just the Space Marine book, just the the chapter tactic Iron Hands,
Mm-hmm.
right? As a joke. I ended up at the top table at this 114 person tournament. And it was
we talked about that on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just a joke. I was like, I got seized on by Eldar Flyers and I tabled them on turn 3. Like, the math is, and then like, Leviathan is just a totally different story. I'm glad he's not in your list because he makes the tears flow so fast.
Well, he's basically unkillable, even with the new rules. I mean, the FAQ is to where the Ironstone is, you just nominate one thing. You can still nominate the Leviathan, and he is a beast.
That FAQ, it was definitely needed, but it doesn't change the list that much. It just makes it like not overboard. It's still like if you still play that same list, it's still like with the 3 executioners. Yeah, it's still busted. Like it's still really, really good.
I do agree that is one way to do it. And for me, it came down to it wanting to include the impulsors. And the impulsors fully kitted out with the missiles is 102 points, and those kind of come from somewhere. And I'm like, well, the Leviathan is one of those things to where, yeah, I can move it up with the other things, but is that what I want to be doing, instead of this other stuff for like claiming objectives?
Yeah, and like the impulsors can act as like little assassin units too, right?
They have a lot of shots. It's 2 Stormbolters, an Iron Hail Heavy Stubber, and now these missiles, which do get multi shots, or you can do they have several firing profiles.
Yeah, and like the one thing about your list, Paul, that does like not worry me as a point, but like I do think that you're gonna get major points increases over time.
We'll worry about that. That's tomorrow's problem. All right.
That's tomorrow's
But I do
problem.
want feedback on the list, though, both you guys. I mean, because different list building perspectives, and I'm not saying this, just because I think this is the best. It's the best it is right now. But like, how do you get it? How could you crank it out maybe a little bit more? Who knows?
Well, I just think that one of the things that, and I always approach it from this perspective, right? I like jump packs. I like having the fly keyword. A captain with the extra toughness and the longer base movement is wonderful. I just think about models on the second floor or instances where you have to go around a wall or whatever it is. Like I always like the flexibility over the mobility, but I mean that's
keep
just about the only thing.
Man.
Sorry, what?
I got to keep up with those flyers.
Well, that's one thing, but at least with the jump pack you can charge them.
Well, I meant with getting up in the aura range of the.
Oh, for your own flyers.
Yeah, for my flyers. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm constantly in that.
I mean, he is there
kill the Eldar flyer mindset.
He is there exactly what you're talking about, to be either support the Invictors or be supported by the Invictors, and to buff the flyers that zoom up and hopefully get in a position to do some damage.
Yeah, I love the flyer build. I think it's such a smart build, and I think with the impulsors, I think you're definitely on the right track. Usually I like to see for the troops, I prefer more scouts, but the way that you're using your intercessor squads, I think you're going to have some success with those units. It doesnn say which. Oh wait, they have bolt rifles. That's what you're using.
Yeah, the regular bolters. Yeah.
What do you think about adding those? What are they called? Stalker
bolt rifle. Yeah, for the heavy shot.
Yeah,
it's 2 damage. Is that extra points?
I think it's 1 point.
Because I'm right at 2,000.
I think it's an extra point. Yeah.
I don't know what's coming out, but I will take that under advisement because at the time of this recording, precisely 1 Contemptor and 1 Thunderfire cannon is painted.
And when is the tournament there?
3 weeks.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
I posted it on Twitter today, and thanks for everyone for being very encouraging. And I'm gonna give it a good shot. I can paint pretty fast, and I don't mind a deadline.
How many points is that Contemptor Dreadnought with the C-beam?
About 160 points.
Okay. If I had any critique on the list, Paul, and that's something that kind of seems out of place, is it might be that unit. But at the same time, you don't have a lot of huge guns, like a big guns in your list. So it definitely has a place. I think you might be better off putting in another warsuit. No, just kind of throwing this out there.
Yeah.
I think the triple and Victor warsuit is is really, really good. But
I don't disagree that what was originally in there, and I thought, man, that this Contemptor and Tech Marine are going to be buddies. They're going to hang out the whole game. They're going to give me all the long-range firepower I need.
Yeah, but you've got 2 Tech Marines with the Thunderfire cannons.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Well, I still got to have the HQ, so he's just the Tech Marine's got to be there regardless.
Yeah, and I think he should be there. And he's got but at the same time, you could put a lieutenant for the price of that Tech Marine with the conversion beamer. Just saying. Like, you could get that redundancy built in there.
Yeah, okay. All right. Oh,
you know what I mean?
What, like a regular lieutenant with like a jump pack, or do you think
no, just put
lieutenant?
A regular lieutenant. If he's gonna hang back with your Thunderfire cannons and your Contemptor Dreadnought, like the Thunderfire cannons can heal your Contemptor if you need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, why not just get that built-in redundancy? Because the re-rolling the ones with all that Thunderfire cannon power, and the Whirlwind, that's gonna come out big when you're shooting at things like Guardsmen and the Fire Warrior stuff in buildings that you can't actually see.
That. The Tech Marine is 65 points.
Yeah, so the Lieutenant's 60 points.
Oh, it may even get me some. That's the points for the heavy bolt weapons on one of those squads.
Exactly, and that's what I think you should do. I think that's exactly what you should do.
Oh, that's happening.
Okay.
That keeps me from having to convert a Tech Marine.
There you go, man. Saving you time.
Okay.
Sometimes pragmatism is the best list building advice.
Yeah. No, I like it. We got there. I think that's thank you very much for the input.
Yeah, and it's funny because like that Thunderfire cannon is so ridiculously cheap because when you actually point out the full Tech Marine with like the servo harness, it's like 50.
You're paying 35 points or something or whatever.
Yeah, for the actual cannon. It's there's no way that's not getting like a point increase. But just saying, tomorrow's problems.
Oh, well, that's just kind of neat that this stuff. I mean, that's a part about taking the objective look at things. Like, it's easy to go into building these lists with preconceived notions that the old stuff is bad. And in this list right now, I mean, the Flyers, we know you can look at them and go, they're a lot better now because they weren't being taken before at all in any capacity.
When you have something that is inertly or like right off the beginning, they're -1 to hit if you move. Like, that sucks. Yeah. When all their weapons are heavy, right? I know that like the Storm Talons get strafing around and stuff. But you're basically, that's like a built-in countermeasure.
That's why Vendettas are terrible.
Yeah, exactly. So like, just like, I don't think that Iron Hands doesn't make them broken. I think it makes them viable.
Yeah, it makes them actually playable. I mean? The Impulsor, by the way, it does not have power of the machine spirit either. And so all these weapons are heavy. So in a non-Iron Hands list, the Impulsor might not seem as attractive. We didn't cover that in our original review, but as I'm doing the deep dig into this stuff, most of the stuff on this thing is heavy outside of the Storm Bolters, like the Iron Hell Heavy Stubber, and the Bellicaris missile array is heavy. So if you move it 14 inches, then you're -1 and it's not as good, but Iron Hands don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and again, the Impulsors, they have fly. Yeah, this list is really good. I like that Contemptor a lot better now that you have a lieutenant in the list.
Okay.
Makes a lot more sense. Because like in theory, all the big stuff you're going to be shooting with it should be really far away. And like when you shoot at stuff with those big guns and you just roll 1,
strength 8,
it's just like, yeah, that sucked. That wasn't worth it. That wasn't worth 160 points.
Yeah, so. I mean, good point. Yeah, I actually had really not even thought about the Tech Marine gunners repairing anything.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of them.
Yeah. Hey, man, there you go. Thanks a lot for that input. What's happening there on the SoCal final?
It looks like Junior is up 18-13 against Brian Pullen. And that would be Triple Knight with Guard versus Pure Tau. And it looks like it's a pretty good game. Oh, Brian's just pulling off his first Riptide off the table.
I wouldn't have expected those lists to be there at the top tables, but man, that's any given Sunday kind of thing.
Can I take just a quick
White
detour
Scars
here?
are doing pretty well too.
Yeah.
Like, everybody going into SoCal was like kind of making a big deal about Space Marines. Well, we're looking at the top table right now, Tau versus Knights Guard. Both of these armies went through all the Space Marine players to get here. And I think that the meta is like, don't get me wrong, Space Marines are good, but sometimes all it takes is just sitting down at the table with your codex and taking another good look through it, because we have a legitimate game going on here at a huge event, like 256 people, and it's Tau and Knights.
Yeah.
So
man, pretty cool. I mean, Tau, they've been burning it up recently. They did really well in the Nova format. I think it's hard to count that codex out.
Oh yeah, they're really good, especially with a good pilot. It can be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, they can be tricky. Chris, your friend with Blood Angels is doing really well, or was doing really well.
Yeah, Thomas. I think he's only lost one game so far. We'll see how he ends up with his final game. But yeah, he's been playing a very powerful Blood Angels list that he does pull in one assassin for it, but the rest of it's Blood Angels, and I really respect the way that he's performed with that consistently. I mean, he was undefeated with that list at the Boise Cup.
He plays more of a board control list. I mean, it is just kind of being everywhere and scoring points, and that wins games. And
he does have killing power with it as well. That's the other thing too. One of the things that I noticed he changed for this list is he got rid of his chaplain, which was one of the things that he was kind of crusading about for a little bit was how great the chaplain was for throwing out that reroll debuff to everybody and not just the go-to Lamardis for the Death Company reroll charges and things, because his buffs only really affect Death Company models. So I think it's I'm definitely going to talk to him when he gets back, see how he feels about it, see how he feels things are going. As much as the Space Marine codexes were great for Space Marines, the +1 attack when you're charging for all Marines makes everything the Blood Angels do better. So I'm not surprised that he's throwing his weight around quite a bit. He's a really good player.
I watched him play John Lennon on stream today. He's a very good player. And that Calidus Assassin got him 6 points in that game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was a good player. It was a very close game, actually.
Thomas is very good at making good decisions.
Checking in on the Space Marine list design that we were just talking about, the auto bolt rifle, the one that's Assault 3, that's the one that's the extra point.
Oh, okay. So is the other one free then?
Yeah, the other one is free.
Okay.
So I got 5 extra points to spend. Might get I don't know, power sword or something on somebody. Maybe on one of these intercessor squads. 5
points. Yeah, there's not a lot you can do. 100 killer missiles or 6. So
I'll figure something out. It might be an extra storm bolter on something. Yeah, we'll see. But I still think that's probably still a better choice to taking the lieutenant and then potentially going to the knowing that they are now the same cost. Do you think that taking both squads to have the heavy one, string 4, -2 AP, 2 damage bolter shot?
Oh, because if you're playing Iron Hands?
Yeah.
Then yeah. Actually, it's hard to say because if you use one to kind of clear chaff and then the other one to kind of just kill targets, bigger, maybe tougher targets, and you kind of keep track of because your opponent will always forget which unit has those guns, I would say, for the most part, in which one, and which impulsor. I don't know if I would go both units, Paul. I think just one gives you that versatility that you might need.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, we'll see that. Let me see if now there's 5 points to spare. Taking one unit to the auto bolt rifles for Assault 3. I don't know if that plays in, but it's a 24-inch range, and if I plan on bringing them up closer anyway.
So I noticed you have a Power Fist on your captain.
Yes.
What's the difference between a Power Fist and a Thunderhammer point-wise?
30 points cheaper.
Oh, right.
31 points cheaper, or whatever.
I forgot they got that bonus there. Another thing I have been doing with my bike is running the Burning Blade, because it's just it's so good. Getting that extra, I think it's plus 3 strength, plus 2 strength, plus 3 strength. I can't remember.
So that's from the Space Marine Codex, right? And that's the interesting thing about if you take the successor chapter, is that you have to burn a CP to get access to the Iron Hands relic if you wanted to.
Yeah. So that one's in the regular book though.
You could take one of those, no problems.
Yeah. So if you wanted to, you make use of those 5 points, dropping the Power Fist and then going with a Power Sword and then making it a Burning Blade. It's a pretty viable option, to be honest.
9 points. What can I do with 9 points?
So how much is the Power Fist?
It's 9 points.
Okay, so 9, so you get 5 more. So then that'll actually give you 10 points, Paul.
Oh, no, because Oh, yeah, that's right, because the power sword is 4 points, right?
Yeah,
So,
4 points. It's 10 points.
man, this list is getting better and better.
Yeah, I don't know if you can shave any more points anywhere else.
I have heavy bolters on all the jets right now.
Okay, well,
I think that's fine. Like the heavy bolters are gonna. I mean, the -1 AP is gonna work. The strength 5 is always good because even on nights you're winning on 5s. It's also great for screen clearing and things like that. Like it's more shots. So yeah, I think the bolters are good.
Could get a grenade launcher on the intercessors. That's a point apiece.
You also could drop the whirlwind and put another Thunderfire cannon in. Just saying. But that might be a little too over the top.
I don't know if not over the top is what we're going for. So, but that's a good point
saying,
because the whirlwind got in there because it was 10 points cheaper than the Thunderfire. So if we open up a full 10 points, then
yeah, and I think that the whirlwind, if you're taking like the strength 7 gun, which I believe you are.
No, I'm going with the Castellan, which is the
it's the 2d6.
Yeah, it's 2d6 shots.
Yeah, so the Thunderfire cannon is just straight up better than that one.
Okay, well then, yeah, see if I can track down a Thunderfire cannon. I've only got one. I actually have I made a Thunderfire cannon. It uses the actual Thunderfire weapon, but I built a different housing around it to look more 30k-ish because I play the throwback color scheme.
And just another little tidbit is if you use your Thunderfire cannons and you spread them out a bit, you can use them to heal your flyers. You just fly them up real close when they get wounded, and
just a little cruise by.
Just a little cruise by, get 6 wounds back, and you're good to go.
Throw some Bondo on the hull or whatever. I don't know.
So, and not only that, like because I still run a Fire Raptor. When you heal 6 wounds on your Fire Raptor, your opponent just melts. Like it's like the most disturbing thing that he can go through is getting it down to 2-3 wounds or even 1 wound, and then just bringing it back to 7. Then he's at full strength because he's Iron Hands.
Yeah.
Oh man, just keeping your keeping your Fire Raptor alive through a turn of shooting, trusting that almost 25% of your army list just doesn't die to whatever it is that they brought that can kill a knight is just, it's gutsy. Outside of Iron Hands, I don't know if anybody could pull that off.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, you put Ironstone and then heal it back up, and then it goes out there and murders. Yes, that's. Yeah,
I granted it's pretty expensive, but to be honest, a lot of people don't even know what it is again because they were on the scene hard at the beginning of the 8th, and then they just disappeared, and nobody still knows what they really are capable of.
When you go over there with that nose cannon, this is a lot of shots, and it's $2 a piece, and yeah.
Oh, and it's -3 because it's Iron Hands. Oh, and those heavy bolters. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter because it's Iron Hands. I guess just because of the doctrine. But yeah, I don't know. Just I think every chapter is good for Space Marines now. I just want to put that out there. I think that if you play a really shooty heavy army, I think you can just make it better by changing the chapter.
I'm not trying to equivocate my choice or anything, but the list, like the Codex release cutoff, prevents me from taking Salamanders, and I think Salamanders are going to be really awesome.
I think Salamanders are the most flavorful chapter.
Yeah, well, actually, tell you what, let's take a quick break, then we'll come back and do just a little bit more chatting on this stuff. Okay.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
Hey everybody, we are back. I still got Chris and Matt here.
Hey,
we're back.
So we're talking about list design and then how Salamanders are coming out, and I think that's probably going to be if I'm playing a Marine faction, I think I'll get a lot of enjoyment out of playing the way the Salamanders do, especially when you think about maybe going Successor and bumping that Flamer range up to 11 inches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Again, I think that's just mean, Paul. I think that is maybe out of the spirit of the game.
Well, the Meltas get an extra 1.5 inches of Melta range, and it's.
Oh, it's so good. I would have thought that Salamanders was going to be the worst book because it always is. Usually, they have good trait, but it's only affects Melta and Flamer stuff, and usually Melta and Flamer stuff suck. So, yeah, that book was very surprising.
Well, they found a way to make what you feel about the chapters pretty interesting. Or what you think you know about the chapters interesting rules-wise, and I think that was been a struggle to convert that in the past. But, and even if you're playing Salamanders, and if you go pure Salamanders, you don't can dump down to a successor chapter and kind of, back into the rules. You can still make some joy out of it, but the Salamander's chapter tactic, I mean, it's only just kind of okay. Where you get a lot of that oomph is from, their codex rules or the supplement rules.
Yeah. It's all like stratagems and traits and
their
stuff
extra
like that.
doctrine thing.
And actually, I think that their book, like Farios is really good, don't get me wrong, but I think that the combination of Vulcan and I don't know that other guy's name.
Dreadmantle or something like that.
Yeah. So I think the combination of those two guys make their book like perform way, way differently. And I think you're going to see some. I know that there's a couple players on the scene that I don't know if they had prior access to this book, but I know that they've been working on Salamander armies for a while now. And I think you're going to see some pretty mean lists. Is it going to be meaner than Iron Hands? I don't know.
15-inch iron. What's the flamer on the the Invicta Warsuit?
Yeah, that thing's really good.
Inverness Cannon or something like that.
It's Incendium something.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't forget about Bray'arth Ashmantle. Remember I was telling you about him?
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yes. See, I in my mind,
that was one hard model to remove.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, I had him be a 30K thing. I don't know if he's in 30K or not. I just knew it was a Forge World thing, and he just seemed like a trillion points before. But now explain what he does.
So just off the top of my head, I don't have his rules up in front of me, but he is base T9, strength 8. He's got 2 hand flamers that I believe are strength 6 and 3 flat damage. They might be strength 5. What else does he do? He only moves like 6 inches, so he's super slow.
He's got a 3-up invulnerable save, doesn't he?
No, it's 4-up. 4-up invulnerable. Maybe I'm pretty sure it's 4-up. It can't be a 3-up. That would be just crazy.
I'll tell you what his rules.
I fought one, and the guy said he had a 3-up.
Okay, well, sure, okay. Say he's got a 3-up invuln, but he has a 4-up feel no pain.
Okay,
he's got a 4-up feel no pain.
He has a 2+ armor save, and he has a 5+ invulnerable save. He has then a 4+ ignore injury.
Right. So he's got the 4-up, feel no pain.
So it may as well be a 3+ invuln.
Yes, basically a 3+ invuln.
He's a tough nut. And he has T9 with 8, he's 8 wounds. He's a regular old dreadnought body.
But he's a character.
Yes.
He can't be shot. So with the new book, you can make him T11, strength 10. And he is 2 times strength for close combat.
Yeah, so strength 20, neg 4 AP, D6 damage with 4 base attacks.
He can also shoot you in close combat with he's got 2 pistols.
He has it's called the Burning Wrath. It is a 2-inch range pistol weapon that's 2d6 shots.
Is that per hand, or is that? I believe it's per hand, isn't it?
The Burning Wrath is just one thing. He does have a Dreadfire Heavy Flamer, which is a heavy D6 weapon.
But he has 2 of those.
He is equipped with 2 Dreadfire Claws, each fitted with a Dreadfire Heavy Flamer. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So not a super good looking model, but this guy is gnarly.
He's 400 points.
He is worth it, Paul.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying that previously that was kind of a bitter pill to swallow.
So I know somebody that was running him in earlier 8th. You put him in a drop pod, you drop him down, the drop pod protects him, right? And this guy will destroy a knight in close combat. Destroy.
He did spend 600 points to get him there, so that's about the same amount of points. I mean,
then you can kill him.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's not, maybe that's what we should expect.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like that model just.
Well, we are talking about a dreadnought here, right? It's like the smaller they get, the angrier they are.
Yeah, and so I convinced a buddy of mine to convert one out of a Leviathan, thinking it makes way more sense. And I said, that's the model that I sent you, Paul, when I was telling you.
Beautiful.
And that in an army is just so cool. And the fact that he's viable now, and you can use all the flamer strats on him and stuff, Yeah, he's vicious now. That the supplement just magnifies his strength for sure.
Just call him Trogdor. Let him loose.
I was just looking at his stats, and I immediately went over to Transhuman's Physiology, and I'm disappointed in the fact that is it can't be used on vehicles.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I think there's a couple other strats in the Codex, though, in the supplement, that make him like -1 to wound, or something along those lines. Because Salamander's supposed to be super tough, right?
Yeah, and you've got the hero of the chapter thing. Not the hero of the chapter, but the thing that halves damage to dreadnoughts also.
Yeah, that on top of it. You can use that, and which is nonsense, with your 4-up feel no pain. But also, there's one downside to him, is he can only be your warlord if you do not have another HQ. So that's never going to happen. But because they put those new warlord trait stratagems where you can make as many guys as you want, you're actually able to give him another warlord trait, which is like, that's how you get him up to like +2 toughness and stuff like that.
That's it. That's what I saw that. So he has the ancient beyond measure. If your army is battle forged, then Ashmantle may only be your warlord if no other HQ units are present. So you're not making him the warlord, you're just giving him a trait, and you can give him that +2.
Yeah. So if there's any Salamander fanboys out there, I recommend you pick up this model and just absolutely have fun with it, because it's one of the coolest things, I think, in that book.
Oh man, 400 point. I never, 3 weeks ago you were not going to have that conversation, so that's a real good spot.
What's 400 points? Like with Space Marines now?
Well, especially if he kills everything. If he just rolls around, just kills everything.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Space Marines do that anyway. So like, why not play down 400 points? All Space Marine armies should just be 1,600 points now.
So okay,
let's not forget the days of 7th edition where to make Space Marines competitive, they had to give you like 1,000 free points and tanks and stuff.
That's right.
Let's not remember our roots, people.
Oh, God.
So what is the most effective way to deliver a bunch of flamers? Is it drop Stern Guard?
I don't think so.
I can tell you it's not Storm Ravens.
I've been racking my brain kind of about this, and I think that the Salamanders are meant to be played all infantry, okay, on the ground, boots on the ground. And there's a reason that it gave them that stratagem that makes it so you can't target anything else unless you're closer to it. I can't remember the exact wording on it. I haven't actually, don't have the book in my hand, but
anything, you can't target anything within 6 inches of that thing unless it's the closest target.
Well, yeah. So just make it Ashmantle, and then make that thing Ashmantle and walk him up the board and walk all your flamers around him. Then you can't kill anything.
Well, it's hard to
talk about a scorched earth policy.
I just created the best Space Marine army out there right now.
So, what is the flamer delivery mechanism, though?
You have to run. I think it is running up the board, man. I don't think.
Right. But like Stern Guard. What do you?
No. It's got to be aggressors. The Gauntlet aggressors are too ridiculous.
Okay.
The one guy can do 27 wounds on average to a knight.
Yeah. It's preposterous.
It is preposterous. And I actually think it would be better, now that I think about it, it's actually better on Ashmantle, because his flamers do 3 damage. So you might as well just use it on him. Oh god, this is we gotta stop talking about this, because then everybody's gonna be running out buying this stuff. Like,
well, look, this is good. That's what they should. Yes, the Dreadfire Heavy Flamer 8-inch heavy D6, 3 damage.
But then you can get 12 shots with it. Yeah. Because you just automatically do that many shots, right?
You can. You got to burn the stratagem, yeah. And then half of those can convert to mortal wounds.
Oh, only half?
Oh, okay. No, it's on a 4+. So I'm saying on average, half of them convert to mortal wounds.
So is that and that's on the wounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just put him with the lieutenant as well. So he gets to rerolls ones. And you just march him up the board. You always make that stratagem to target him, so he can't shoot at anything else around him. And then just do that. You can put Terminators in at that point. Like, what does it matter?
You can just roll a garbage truck out there in front. Who cares? Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Because, you put anything in front of him, and he is going to kill it.
That's true. No, he's a beast. Limited by 4 base attacks, but his shooting is really strong, and then he does have the extra shots if you happen to get him stuck in close combat.
Well, and he's got the shock assault, right? So he'll get that too. I'm sure that there's a way, like, I'm sure he can fight twice and fight in death. You know what I mean? Like, there's
being a character for sure. And then also his Dreadfire claws, they don't get a minus to hit, and they are D6 damage. Neg 4 AP.
D6 damage. Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, speaking of fire, Chris, you actually have a finishing moves that you'd like to talk about stuff with flames.
I do. I've been hopping around a lot of different game systems so far as my hobby progress goes lately. And one of the things that I spent some time on, partially to kind of supplement a D&D campaign I was doing, partially because I've been a little Age of Sigmar curious, was I was working on some Fire Slayers. And Paul, you saw the pictures of the Magmadroth that I did for that army. It's a big, stompy salamander thing, wingless dragon. And I tried out some new flame effects on it, and I feel they turned out pretty well.
Yeah, tell us how it went, or how'd you do it? Because it does look good. I mean, this is, you actually kind of like a charcoal type look to the miniature itself, and it really sets off the fire effect.
Yeah, I took a little bit of inspiration from some of the Black Dragon art that I've seen out there. And I wanted to have the spines and things on it kind of bring attention to it. I wanted the scales to be a little bit more subtle. So I really amped up the flame on kind of the ridges and things. And the process I went through started with just looking at some pictures of fire and looking at how fire behaved depending on what was burning. And yes, there's a bunch of different ways you can get different colored fire effects to burn, but I was going for something warm, traditional. And one of the first things that I noticed was, when you are painting fire, the brightest point isn't the tip of the fire. The brightest point is closer to the source of the fire. I started working not from the idea where I'm going to build up dark towards the base of the miniature, which was already black, up into a red, orange, yellow. I started bright towards the edge of where these fins and things were attaching to the miniature, and darkened it as I got up. And what it ended up doing was bringing the eye more into the miniature, because you're following the dark to light with your eye down towards the miniature instead of away from it. And I think it really added to the effect very well. And I also stayed in the orange spectrum. That was another thing that I did, was I tried, yes, there's some red in there, but it's more of a red-orange. And I just stayed in that orange spectrum. I worked in a little bit of yellow. I worked in some white. And that was one of the big things that kind of sold the more realistic look to the fire there.
But that's towards the base, right? Because you're not getting brighter up towards the top, because that's not what natural fire looks like. You're actually going darker because that's where it's starting to get cooler and the smoke starts to form there at the very tip of the fire. That's why you see a lot of people, they'll dry brush on some black. That's one way to have that smoke terminus in fire.
That's right. Now, one of the other things I did with the writer, the Rune Father on there, is I started thinking about, well, where else do I want the eye to go? Where else do I want the eye to go on this miniature? And then there were two other places. The first one was his axe, which I tried to get an effect to look like it was just pulled out of the forge. Not that you would ever want to take, hot steel and bring it into battle. Yeah, it would burn, but it would bend. But that's just kind of the fantasy here, right? They wield fire steel, which we'll just pretend that makes sense. So the other part was his beard, and I was thinking about the character of this guy, and I was thinking, well, I want him to be kind of a spitfire. This guy is, and pun intended, of course, because it's me, this guy has a mouth on him, and he's not afraid to use it. So when I was working on his beard, I also put a little bit of a heat effect into the way the coloration of the hair. So the closer to his mouth, the lighter the beard gets. And it turned out, I'm really happy with it. I thought it was a really cool effect on this guy. It helped zero in the viewer's focus on his face and added even some more character and another bright spot to kind of play off on this model.
Yeah, man, it looks wonderful. That's some really good tips, especially when they see it in the contrast for how you have the actual skin and scales of the model, and then how quickly it goes to this kind of area of interest that doesn't take away from the rest of the model, but it really adds to it.
I appreciate that. And when the show goes live, just take a look at our Facebook page, facebook.com/ForgeTheNarrative. I'll put up some pictures so you guys can kind of see the effect for yourselves and see what you think. The recipe is pretty simple. You're just staying in the orange spectrum, And wherever the source of your fire is, that's where you want the brightest to be. But try and stay in the orange spectrum. Don't feel like you have to go from red to orange to yellow. And you can. It all depends on your own preference and the type of flame effect that you're trying to bring in. But things like steel, when you bring steel or iron out of a furnace and you're going to start beating on it, it doesn't go through all those shades and it looks hot. It looks like orange with a lot of white and maybe a little bit of yellow mixed in. Definitely do some homework on and look at some images of how things look when they're coming out, like metal comes out hot, and it'll give you a good baseline to start from, and work those contrasts, but don't feel like you have to follow just kind of the normal color wheel style of adding shades to that.
That's a great tip, Chris. Thanks a lot for sharing it, and we'll circulate the pics as soon as this goes up. I'm going to be speed painting some white, and there's a couple of different ways you can do it. I'm not really good at layering up gray to white and doing the GW way of doing it. I just can't get it to look anything other than kind of like clunky and chalky. So what I do is I kind of shade it from under, like in the recesses, or give it that kind of fadey shade with a wash. So I'm very much like prime gray, layer on some white, and then make the stuff look good around the white, and then shade in the recesses with some Nuln Oil or like a softer black wash for that. And in a pinch, you can actually use the micron pins to get down in the panel lines that the Space Marines are known for. So there may be some of that. I think I'm going to try to get, like on the character models and things that are going to be in people's faces, I'll try to do a little bit better to get that kind of, that kind of sunken in depth that the wash gives. That's why we use it, because it kind of pulls itself into the recesses and gives you that kind of fade near the edges. It's not always quite that noticeable, but that's kind of what a wash does. I get a respectable white color out of that, doing that. But also, in a pinch, I've gone in with the micron pins, or people use Gundam markers. I don't have any Gundam markers. I have a micron pin, which is the spot 005 pin. Has never let me down when I absolutely have to get in there and get something done quickly. And that may be coming back out for this 3-week army build.
And one of the blessings and curses of working in white is that, especially with a wash or something, it can easily start to look dirty, but white looks dirty. It looks okay when it's like that, you know? You don't have to clean it up too much if you don't want to.
Well, if I get a little bit too heavy-handed with the wash, or I'm going too fast or whatever, I can typically come back in and dry brush on white on top of white to get me that fade back out to the way I like it. And you don't notice it's a dry brush because the rest of the model is still white. But we'll see. We'll see how far I can get. In the doing Space Marine helmets with a micron pen sometimes really just gets you down into that. When it dries, it even kind of shrinks down a little bit more into that, but you keep that crisp line. But it's still going to be painting those hoses and stuff between the leg plates and the arms and the hands and stuff, because that, if you don't do that, you really notice it on the model.
Yeah, it's really obvious, isn't it? Like, if you miss something like that. I've been running into the same thing with these Crimson Paladins I've been working on. They have a lot of overlapping armor plates, but once I've gone past what I feel like is the step where I cover all those spots, if I see some of that ribbing or the hoses or the tubes and I miss it later, it really sticks out to me.
Yeah, man. That's it. Going to try to not compromise and still get down to the end of the road and be able to functionally play this list. So, thanks for talking me through it, guys. I really appreciate that, and I think it made a stronger list.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how it does.
Good night, everybody. See y'all next week.
Take it easy.
Handle the truth.